Hi and welcome. Today's show is all about writing book titles, different types of headlines to create great book titles. The show is brought to you thanks to the Your Family Story system, which helps a loved one create their life story, and I'll have some free sections for that at the end of the show. So please hang about. So how do you create short and powerful titles that really work? Now, I've written thousands of headlines over the years, and especially as a print journalist, print editor, sub-editor, I know there's some tactics that I always go to, and I'm going to share with those ones with you right now, some of my favourites. But first up, I wanted to cover exactly what are the different types of headlines, because when you pick up a book, you can see there's various different ones. The first is usually the lead headline or the title, and that's the largest font. It's usually one or a few words, and it demands attention. The second one is the subheading or the secondary heading, and it's going to be smaller font, it's going to be longer, it's going to give context to the first. And then there might be a third headline or a title. It's not always there, but if you think it's needed, it's like a description or a label. So memoir, autobiography, biography, sometimes that's in there. And also don't forget, chapters can take names or numbers or both. And I recommend writing out a title for a chapter because it really does help with engagement. So let's jump into those 7 tactics. So now we've got that out of the way, exactly what we're talking about. So the first one is to play it straight. This is your ultimate fallback strategy. It's not tricky, it's not fancy. You're just going to tell the story in as few words as accurately as possible. So an example is My Adventurous Life by Dick Smith, or Diary of a Young Naturalist by Dara McAnulty. So ideally in this situation you're going to use a noun or a name, and you're going to use a verb, an action word. So moving on, number 2 tactic is rhyming, and this is super fun. I love doing this. It's usually best with a name, so a person's name, and you can get extra help with a search engine like rhymes.com. So you put the words into the search engine, it will spit out ones that rhyme of various syllables, so it can really get your brainstorming going. An example of a rhyming headline is Not Quite, Not White by Shamila Sen. Third tactic is play on words. So this is my number 1 go-to. I love this one. You can jazz up titles or chapter headlines, but play with the verb. So linking it back to the person, linking it back to the story. An example is Australian musician Jimmy Barnes's award-winning memoir, Working Class Boy, and that was a play on his famous song, Working Class Man. And you can also work this up with puns, sayings, cliches, just tweak them a little bit to suit your purpose. Tactic number 4 is to use a name. Now this seems really obvious, it's simple, it's effective, and it personalises the book from the outset. Very, very relatable, because we all have names, we all know someone, that might have that name. So an example could be, I've got here another footballer, Australian, Jonathan Thurston. That's the title, just his straight name, the autobiography. Another one is just the title, Sontag, just a name, and then subtitle, Her Life and Work by Benjamin Moser. So yeah, nothing fancy, just simply a name, works fantastic. Number 5 is to ask a question. So a question demands a response, like interactive, it's instantly interactive. But beware, questions are great, but they can backfire if, someone can answer it straight off the bat, or they're not interested and can be dismissed because maybe, they don't understand it. So use it sparingly and it will be more powerful. An example of a question headline is the biography, Do Oysters Get Bored? Now, that's got me interested. I would read that and pick up and have a look. But yeah, just some questions may not be the best idea, but sparingly, great. Quotes is another tactic, and this is ideal for emotive or powerful stories. Again, use in moderation, but my hot tip would be to make the quote the first headline and then explain it in the second. So an example here is The Dead Are Arising, that's the first title, and then explanation, The Life of Malcolm X by Les Payne and Tamara Payne. Another one, Chasing Me to My Grave, that's the quote, and then An Artist's Memoir of the Jim Crow South by the late Winfried Rembrandt. And finally, last tactic I have for you is intrigue. So you can use a combination of the tactics I've mentioned previously, and you can use one word or you can use many words. And it can help if you're referring the headline to the book's theme or the chapter's theme. Really does make it work. An example is the one-word title Educated by Tara Westover, a very well-known book. Or another one a bit longer, No Friend But the Mountains. I've got intrigue over that. What does that mean? So that's some different examples. So there you go. That's 7 amazing secrets on how to write a book title. Plus I give you some examples of different headlines. But I'm hopeful that you will feel confident and excited to write great headlines using one of these tactics. And to recap, the first one was telling the story, just play it straight. Another, using a rhyme. Third, playing with words, using a name, a question, a quote, or creating intrigue. So you'll find more details on all of these tactics over at article I've written on my website, foreveryoungautobiographie.com/how to write a book title. I go into more depth and there's links to some of those books and also other resources that are going to get you on your way. While you're here or while you're there, please leave me a comment. What tactic or tactics are you thinking about using for your life story work? I'd love to know. And if you have any questions at all about life story creating, you can drop me a line at foreveryoungautobiographie.com/contact. Now, before I head off, I mentioned the Your Family Story system. Now, this system breaks it down into 4 stages of how to interview a loved one, hold an interview, and then record what they've said, and then put it in a different format. I've got the first 3 sections to that is for free. You go to foreveryoungautobiographie.com/free to claim that free gift from me to you. Now, before I go, be back again soon with another topic, but it would be amazing if you could follow, subscribe, like the show, share it with a friend. And until then, happy writing.